Moose.
Oh, man.
May 21st,
Oh, man.
2021.
Oh, man.
DJ, kick the music.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, what a week.
Moose, how was your week? First of all, let's
Oh,
do this. The
man,
pleasantries.
it's been a pretty intense week over here in Southern California. You know, testing T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. Definitely.
Maybe you can give us some, some of your experiences before we let out tonight.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know we have a lot of lots of things to cover, Sneed, man. I mean, this is a jam-packed podcast, possibly the biggest podcast of the quarter. I'm going to say the quarter, not the year.
Yeah,
sure. There's definitely more coming.
I mean, the moment C-Band goes live, it's the biggest quarter of the year, you know?
It's coming, Sneed, man.
I know. I'm excited. I'm curious to know, Verizon or AT&T, who put C-Band first on my home tower?
Yep.
That's what I would like to know. I feel like the bakery area, the west side, downtown, that's like pretty much off rip. All carriers will be doing that, because we're already seeing N41, and the C-band upgrades will be probably instantaneous, right, once they can broadcast. So, but yeah, I'd be curious to know, because the moment it does, it changes my device purchases. Like, do I go ahead and purchase a modem, hotspot modem that's compatible with C-band? Like, there's a couple things I want to do. I want to test it from a hotspot standpoint. I want to test the new iPad, if it has C-band. I want to test, the Galaxies, the iPhone. Like, I want to kind of be ready for that.
Right. Definitely.
What's up, James, MS, Cesar? Appreciate that super chat, Cesar. Thank you, man.
You know what's interesting, Sneed, when we talk about that? The carriers are already upgrading the S21 firmware to include C-band. And
as soon as it broadcasts, right?
Yeah, so for example, the Qualcomm, and I don't know if we talked about this last time, right before I left to California, I visited Ericsson's Plano, Texas campus. They have C-band and every single cell site there. T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T.
Wow.
So the only way to access it is you need to get a blue SIM from AT&T and have the firmware provisioned. I'm assuming that the firmware is exclusively distributed, for internal testing. But the S21s can do it right now.
Sure. Yeah. Good to see Debbie here. We got Big John Tech Reviews. John, my guy, appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming through and hanging out with us. Again, Cesar, thank you for the super chat. Also, a couple of shout-outs. One to the newest member of the Patreon page, Armando. Welcome to you, sir. And then also, Ron, thank you for the donation. I think it came in sometime this week, and it was a very generous one, so thank you for that. All donations and super chats and stickers are greatly appreciated. You guys are the best. Thank you. Never feel compelled to have to make any type of donations or anything, but you guys are very kind and generous, and we do appreciate those gestures. Thank you. Yeah, man. What's up, Delon? So, we got a topic list. It's pretty long.
Yes.
We kind of got to just jump into it, and I do wish that Tyrone was here, because I know he wanted to be on the show, so he may come in, just be a little bit late to the show. We could probably dedicate 2 hours to just the AT&T stuff.
Yep.
Not to brag. I mean, you would have been on the show Sunday had you not have been busy, Moose.
Right.
But we literally predicted everything.
Yep. Amazing.
I chopped up the podcast from Sunday and made some SMT
shorts.
Podcast clips, the
shorts. Loved it.
Oh, I was going to say, what did you think of that, Moose? Is that something that I should kind of continue with? And
yeah, a lot of people like to have bite-sized content, something that they could just quickly listen in, the hot topic. I really appreciate that, Sneed, man. That's new. I like it. It's the evolution of the SMT.
Always try to make it better. Always try to do more. I know some people like shorter chunks, more digestible content, more likely to watch 5-minute clips throughout the week than to sit and watch a 1 hour podcast or listen to a 1 hour podcast, especially for our younger listeners. We're not really into long content or whatever. Hey, Les, you want more on national deployment? I'll test whatever market you want me to test. Go ahead and send me that flight ticket, those arrangements, and send me the devices you want me to test, and send me the lines of service. If you want to pay me to do that, I could definitely do it, man. Yeah. See, everybody forgets that you got to pay ducats. You know what I'm saying, Moose? You got to pay to play.
Yep.
You know, I'm the only one doing this for the SMT channel. I don't have like 10 other people testing the networks across the country. It's just me. You know, and I'm a school teacher. This is not what I get paid to do.
And by the way, isn't the school semester over?
Yeah, the school year's wrapping up. The kids are done next week.
Excellent.
And then we got to tie up some loose ends, but you know, then I'll have some more time. I'll definitely be hunting for sure, bro. We got to do a couple of stops. I'm thinking Longmont, Colorado. I'm thinking Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm thinking Dallas. I'm thinking SoCal.
Okay.
And then most definitely we're going to be testing a lot of that, you know, once we get out there. So, but yeah, it's something to be excited about. So, Moose.
Yes.
Like I was saying, there's so much. Let's start with the AT&T side. I think it's fitting. It started the week on Monday. We caught wind of this on Sunday. We did the podcast. You weren't able to make it, but pretty much everything that I mentioned, Tyrone was on the show. We had Zero Cool. It all kind of came together. I felt so good about it. I cut it up, put it into those little clips, and then I started dropping them throughout the week. And it almost felt like I felt vindicated because, you know, a lot of situations, you know, not that we're always correct, you know, but honestly, it's like you watch the way things play out and you try to call it the way you see it. What's the most likely scenario? You try to play it out in your mind. Okay, this is what's the most probable, what's the most likely. And it was kind of, I thought it was a slam dunk. I really thought that was what was going to happen, and it did. So I feel pretty good about my grasp on the concept. I mean, it's nice. We have a little bit of information. We can kind of make those predictions and go with what we think makes sense. So
it just goes to show, Sneedman, that the podcast is very lasered focus in the realm of what's going to happen. You know, we are anticipating what's going to happen before they even happen.
Sure.
I mean, dude, that was a huge podcast. I was listening to it, by the way, late night, of course, replay, #replay gang, of course. It was shocking to me on the replay hearing, I think it's going to be, quote from Sneed, I think it's going to be around 70%. Boom. 71%. I'm telling you, if you were a betting man, you would have won billions.
I think what it is, Moose, is I looked at the way it was structured compared to DirecTV.
Correct.
You know, and that's, if I feel like I have a good idea of what John Stanky wants to do now, which is good because it's way different than Randall's approach. You know, I feel like Randall had his mind wrapped around this whole media thing, TV and wireless, and it all makes sense. And, you know, I just didn't get him. He didn't make sense to me. You know, they took big losses. All right, DirecTV was I think the new DirecTV ended up being valued at like 15 billion. And then this new Warner Media gets valued at 43 billion.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Well,
their value.
Right. That portion that was taken away from an AT&T stockholder share was in the Warner Media was 43 billion. So yeah, you can extrapolate, right? Multiply that 3 times, right? That gives you approximately 90%. And then add a little bit more. So it's approximately $150 billion of value of this combined company, which is significantly more than what was paid for, 85 billion plus debt, so 100 billion, and 15 billion for Discovery. So definitely, you know, it seems like AT&T made money from this, right? And what I've been told, Sneedman, is that this was the perfect move that needed to happen, period. Underlined, underscore, bold it. It needed to happen because the stock was not reacting positively when there were massive jumps in the HBO Max market share. They didn't give a damn. What the hell's the problem? Oh, the debt's the issue? No. The issue is that there was a telecom company trying to manage a media company. There was this notion of vertical integration, right? It's going to be studied in business schools for the end of time now that vertical integrations, vertical mergers do not work. Somehow, some way, Comcast, NBC Universal is the only one that is still left, and even
maybe it's because they offer. Maybe it was the amount of money for them that it just has a better perception amongst investors.
It's definitely interesting you mentioned that because, in my opinion, after listening to day 2 of the news, right? So there was drastic news, right? Monday it was a shock. Tuesday, even more news came out of it. Wednesday was kind of a lull. People were very upset. And then finally, Thursday and Friday, people got over it. It's back at $30, right? The stock. But here's something that's interesting. On CNBC, they straight up said the reason why there's going to be massive consolidation in the media space is because these smaller players will never be able to win. Never. Discovery Plus, Peacock, Fubo TV, what's the other one? Oh, Paramount Plus, right? All these little ones are niche content, right? Star Trek's on Paramount, Peacock, The Office, Parks and Rec. Fubo TV has beIN Sports, but now Disney, ABC and ESPN have the rights for La Liga, so everybody's going to be watching El Clásico, all that on ESPN Plus or on traditional ESPN via the TVs, right? So everything is consolidating. And now on Tuesday, no, not even Tuesday, on Monday, MGM Movies got bought by Amazon. So, and MGM owns the rights to James Bond, huge franchise. So at the end of the day, Sneedman, excellent execution that needed to happen. Poor communication in the sense that nobody has ever said that it was a bad transaction to begin with. DirecTV should have never been bought. Warner Media should have never been bought, should have never been fought for. That's what people are upset about. Right? Go ahead.
Right, but at some point, we have to look at Randall Stevenson. He's gone. It's been exactly 1 year. Well, what was he officially out last July, right?
2019.
Okay.
But yeah, officially out of the company.
Yeah. I mean, but it was already brewing in I think like January, February of last year. So
right.
It was happening. So the guy's gone who's responsible for those decisions and the former mind state of the company. John Stankey comes in, completely responds to the investor. Completely. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, he absolutely did what the investors wanted, which was reduce debt, start to pay off debt.
By the way, is there a phone next to your microphone?
Oh, possibly. My bad.
Yeah, I'm hearing that
feedback.
Yeah.
My bad. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's good. Continue.
Okay. So the guy's gone. Randall Stevenson is out. Stankey comes in, starts moving around assets, sells DirecTV, reduces damage. Sells off Warner Media as its own company, reduces more damage, positions the company to start paying off more debt more quickly, and then retains the assets in the form of a separate company. So it's a spinoff, not just a sale. They'll continue to pay out at a 71% clip. I think he did exactly what they wanted to, although they did take some losses in it. I don't understand why the negative perception. Why would you sell? Like, is the dividend that critical? So all I can really think about is they're going to cut the dividend from whatever percentage to just, what, like 40%?
Yeah, basically, let's say 50%. Let's say 50%. Right.
Okay. So, and that's going to better position the company. which has now realigned its focus into wireline and wireless, and the wireline being
Exclusive.
fiber. Right.
Yeah.
They did exactly what we've been begging them to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody keeps saying, you're a telecom, you're a telecom. Here they are doing telecom things, and then the stock price plummets. To me, it was funny to watch those who criticized them for the last few years, dating back to 15 to 18. Now they start behaving like a telecom, and the shares go down.
Yeah, and it's because, a lot of people in basic stock market conversations, they suggest people buy a stock for the dividend because it will give you a percentage of the free cash flow, right, every quarter. A lot of people, Sneedman, live off of those dividends, like actually have
So there lies the problem.
Right.
The disgruntled investor
Right.
who is living off the dividend
Correct.
is now pissed.
Correct.
So these deals aggravated those living off of dividends.
Right.
Which look, I'm no investor. I don't care about investor feelings. You know, I look at the wireless networks and I'm always thinking to myself, how do they get better?
Mm-hmm.
Which requires investment, which means possibly taking away dividends from people squatting on shares.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so me and investors are not on the same wavelength.
And that's
they're
actually
thinking, how do I make more money?
Right. And that's actually something critical that we should mention now. Because of this move to divest Warner Media into its own company with Discovery, the merger with the Warner Media and Discovery, CapEx after the close in the second quarter or the second half of the year, whatever it comes first, right? CapEx will increase to $24 billion, Sneedman, for AT&T.
You want to cover that? Let's discuss that a little bit. So the dividend cut directly responds and turns into a spike in an increase
Massive.
in CapEx. It increases by $3 billion. It goes from 21 to 24 billion. Now, as a percentage, Moose, we're talking about a 15% increase.
Right, but the CapEx currently, that 21 billion, incorporates Warner Media, which is between 6 to 8 billion. So realistically, it's actually, hold up, let me do the numbers really quick.
Well, if we're just looking at the overall numbers, $3 billion positions them to spend as much or more than Verizon on C-band within the next 2 years.
It's interesting you mentioned that because what we're getting told, I know Tyrone has some interesting reporting on this. We were talking about this earlier. AT&T, it seems like they're going to be ramping faster than Verizon. They have publicly come out since that news on Monday this week that 200 million pops will be covered by the end of 2023. That's the second full year.
All right, so we're jumping ahead.
Of course.
let's come back to the first thing. We'll just do the CapEx first, and then how that converts to C-band. Okay.
Right.
All right, so the CapEx increases from 21 billion to 24 billion.
Right.
We get a more focused expenditure specifically for C-band because it ends up, what people have to understand about the Time Warner thing is now that gets its own company investment. So after this year, there's no AT&T feeding into Time Warner anymore, right? That's a standalone company.
Right.
That means CapEx is going to be more dedicated to fiber and wireless than it's ever been, right? So AT&T's initial plan was to get 100 million pops of coverage by the end of by the start of 2023.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
At that same time, Verizon was going to be at 175.
Right.
So essentially twice the pace almost, right?
Right.
Well, now the tables turn. They not only match Verizon, but they might even be exceeding them in that same time frame. They want to push to 200 million pops.
Correct.
So we'll see. We'll have to see how it's executed. I'm not doubting AT&T, actually. If AT&T says 200 million pops in a year and a half,
It might be even more. That's conservative at this point,
I
right?
say, yeah. Well, here's why I don't argue that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen what they've done with LTE.
Right, FirstNet.
I've seen what they did with FirstNet. I'm not here to question those that have done it before. Unless there's something glaringly obvious that's a problem, but I'm not seeing that. They're kicking up expenditure. Why shouldn't they go to 200 million pops? Because here's the thing that I know about pops. First of all, the term pops, I don't like.
Right.
I really don't. Give me a measure of how much space those upgrades span over is more meaningful to me, because I mean, what is considered national coverage? 70% of the U.S., right? Like the population, the human, like actual United States citizens. That's considered national.
Right.
So T-Mobile says they'll have 300 million pops of ultra wideband or ultra capacity by then. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. I just want to see the coverage maps. I just want to see the metrics reports. I want to see people showing these upgrades actually happening. Big shout out to Chucky. Thanks for that super chat. Appreciate you, man. Yeah.
Sneed, really quickly. We talked about the previous CapEx. So Tyrone was doing some math and doing some investigation on this. The previous CapEx was 21 billion, right? From that 21 billion, approximately 9 billion was approximately 6 to 7 billion was going to Warner Media.
Okay, so 21, take away the 6 or 7. Yep. Okay, so we're at 14 or 15.
14 or 15. Now that 9, so now it goes up to 24 billion once the close of this transaction, right? The divestiture. It will go up to 9 billion additional. By the way, that 9 billion additional, Sneed, man, isn't that what T-Mobile wants to get to, right? They're going to reduce their CapEx.
You know, that's been a concern of mine. I've always felt that the company willing to spend is the company that gets ahead and stays ahead. You know, the one thing that has always been on the side of Verizon is they've always been focused on wireless. And they have always been winning on wireless.
Right.
You know, they've always done a really good job nationally. And I know there's going to be people coming out of the woodworks. Verizon's got band 13 only towers in my county. You know, okay, I get it. But from a national perspective, when we look at the national coverage, nobody's doing it bigger and better than Verizon. You know, and that's the ghost. That's what the carriers are chasing. If you look, T-Mobile is always trying to catch Verizon. AT&T is always trying to catch Verizon. The FirstNet contract was specifically designed to catch Verizon because Verizon has had the largest network for a long time. Right. Essentially, the entire LTE era was the trail was blazed by Verizon. They were basically the first to a semblance of a national LTE network, and they were the first to advance LTE on a large scale, and they were the first to truly densify. You know, like they did all these things first. And now, you know, the other carriers are doing the same, and they're trying to create network parity nationally. And that's hard to do. You know, look at what AT&T has spent in the attempt to match Verizon coverage. See, what Verizon has done consistently throughout the years was spending. So it was 9 billion, 10 billion, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. They're now at 18 billion in consecutive years. So AT&T never did that. It was always a little bit lower until recently they kicked it up huge. You know, they started going into the 20s, 20, 21, 22 billion. You know, Tyrone's right. The carrier that spends the most improves the most. Everybody's like, oh, you throw money at a problem. Yeah. Yes. You throw money at your problems and it fixes the issues.
I don't understand when people... See, these are the thongs, bro. This is the problem, bro. I didn't want to get into it this early.
You don't have to. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
We watched AT&T revolutionize its network in 2 years because they spent a combined almost $50 billion.
Right.
How much of that went to wireless? I'd say at least 30 dedicated.
Right.
At least 30 billion dedicated. I mean, we've been watching T-Mobile spend 6 and 7 billion just recently. Sprint was spending 4 and 5 billion. Verizon was at 15, 16, 17, 18. They've been 18 for a couple years now. It's the only way to do it. It's not even really that you're throwing money at a problem. You are taking the money, the revenue you generate, and you're reinvesting it back into the network to maintain a quality experience for your customers. I would always joke with people, you look at some of these old stores that, 20, 30, 40 years in business, at some point you have to reinvest. That's what they really are. You know what I'm saying? It's a reinvestment. Mm-hmm. And I think it's painfully obvious that the hole in T-Mobile's game is their reduction of their CapEx in the next couple of years. I think they're going to regret it. If they have their 5G leadership now, why do you not keep the pedal to the metal? I'm not buying this whole concept of, we're going to be so far ahead we can let off the gas. I think that's just not that's not true. There's something else there. I mean, maybe there's something financially they want to do. Maybe they want to offer a dividend. Maybe they want to, do some stock buybacks. I don't know what their plans are. They're not going to tell us right now, but I just think it's disingenuous to say that you're going to be so far ahead you don't have to spend money. If you really believe that, then you're going to fall behind.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's ludicrous to believe that by reducing how much you spend on your network, you will be able to keep the capacity enough to where it doesn't congest. Right?
Nick, thank you for the super chat, by the way. I'll get to your statement in a second. Go ahead, Moose.
But no, that's basically it. You're absolutely right, Sneed, man. I think we can go to the super chat here.
Okay. Nick, thanks for the super chat. If AT&T has FirstNet contract and they increase CapEx, wouldn't that technically be more money being spent since they're expanding because of FirstNet is spending more technically? Of course. Whatever it takes to make the network bigger, and this makes it more cost effective. It streamlines their upgrade process, really is what it does. Actually, when it comes to network synergies, I think AT&T's FirstNet is a huge synergy. I think it's a big-time synergy.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think a lot of people don't want to mention this, but a lot of things that T-Mobile are doing to save money is they've stopped investing in their LTE. They're willing to widen the PCS channels, but they're not really upgrading LTE much.
Right.
As opposed to, I think, AT&T and Verizon, which are still really bolstering the foundation of their network coverage. Like, what has created the legendary Verizon network's coverage? And what has created the newfound glory of the AT&T's root metrics performance and all all these gains in the mapping? It's been LTE. It has not been 5G. So hey, if the nation's top two networks are LTE based, why would anybody want to abandon that?
And
we still see them investing in LTE, Moose, with AT&T and Verizon.
Yeah, C-RAN, right? The small cells. And it goes to show you how long LTE is going to stay in the market. It's easily going to be till 2030, 2035. It has a long run rate. I mean, think about 3G. When did 3G start?
3G started in like 2009, 8?
Super long time. So
no, it was even longer than that, wasn't it, Moose? I remember my BlackBerry was 3G. That might have been like 06.
Yeah, I mean, the 07 was when the original iPhone came out, but that was Edge. Then the iPhone 3G came out in 2008. So yeah, let's say 2008.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, Sneed man. So we talk about the CapEx increasing from this divestiture. We talk about that the POPs are going to be significantly more than Verizon. What about fiber? Right?
Fiber's a good business, man.
I know the SMT Nation is going to finally experience what an SMT podcast on fiber is going to be like very soon here. I'm telling you, Dom, It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But they are saying that by 2025, AT&T, They said this on the call on Monday with all the, the round table, the investors, whatever. They'll have 30 million households and businesses with fiber. Nationwide fiber footprint.
Pretty good. I'd like to see that actually amp up, man. I mean, it's you can't lose the fiber. Every market that they are the fiber provider, they're also going to be able to utilize that as an asset for wireless.
That's right.
And I still think, Moose, there is, and I'm not saying that they need to compete with themselves or they need to compete with Verizon or they need to compete with T-Mobile, but I'm telling you, it is money in the bank for them to offer fixed wireless access over their LTE and 5G in isolated pockets of parts of the country. And by isolated pockets, I mean national. Just throw in 1 million customers. National. 1 million, 2 million. It'll never be a big part of what they do. But there are people willing to pay $60, $80, $100 for fixed wireless access because they simply don't have options. All they have to do is when they upgrade these towers, the band 30, the band 14, the C-band, this extra capacity that is there can be monetized. And I guarantee you there will be situations where Verizon may not be on a site, T-Mobile may not be on a site, and they could charge, and people would have no problem paying $60 to $80 a month. And because they've got the fixed wireless access, they might get the AT&T TV Now, they might get the HBO Max, they might get whatever other thing is going on. I'm just saying, for them to be so, one-dimensional about their wireless, I still think there's going to be situations where they could do the fixed wire. Put out flyers. Make the calls. Tell people we got it. I mean, if it was 1 or 2 million people with that, I say it's worth it.
Oh, yeah. And this is not even taken into consideration the fact that the infrastructure bill will have money for fiber or fixed wireless.
What's up, Adam? Good to see you, man. Yeah, I'm not saying fixed wireless becomes a focus of what they do. I'm saying allow it to be something that you can do. They're more likely to be upgrading a tower site in a relatively short order with FirstNet. So I'm saying why not? But the fiber, man, that's the end game. I think everybody and their mother at some point just wants a fiber connection.
Yep.
Right. And it's priced well. They're coming in at $45 a month with equipment included. I think with taxes and fees, it'll put you to $50. It does qualify for the EBB program. So, if that's available to you to think about it. So they want to double their fiber footprint. I'd like to see them, increase every year. Yeah, like I want to see that become something of a focus because, it's one of those sticky points. With the fiber, you're more likely to get the wireless.
And
with the wireless, you're more likely to get the fiber.
25%. 25% promo is still going on indefinitely, right? If you have fiber and you don't have AT&T wireless, we'll give you 25% off the entire bill.
Yeah.
Boom. People switch just because of that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's competitively priced. They just bumped up the speeds. I think they they got rid of the 150, now it's just the 300 by 300, right?
Yeah, they was originally 100,
100
obviously symmetrical, 300 gig, now it's 300, 500 gig. And the multi-gig is coming. Here's the other thing crazy. The fiber is so reliable that if in case there's a power outage like there was with Texas, right, in February, they'll give you an LTE backup. They'll give you a wireless backup if in case anything happens.
That's pretty nice. And that's over the wireless network, right?
That's right. And with C-band, it's going to be even easier,
Yeah, I don't know, King Sniper. That's going to be a tough sell. It's hard to get any provider to commit to 100% fiber footprint. It's not cost effective. Nor do I think that should really even be regulated or anything like that. It's just unrealistic. It's hard. The return of investment isn't there. I think satellite operators kind of come into play to help some of that last little bit, as well as fixed wireless. Where are we at on the list, Moose?
Well, the next one is Nokia. Once again, it's in question. It's in question.
Look, man, there was a guy who was coming onto my channel videos, and he was commenting like relentlessly, and he was using the trade identifiers, you know, the money signs, Nokia, Samsung, Ericsson, and he was clearly a Nokia investor, and he was bashing any mention of Ericsson or Samsung. And I told him to get off my channel and stop spamming these videos, stop trying to control the investment narrative. And I made it very clear that Verizon had completely abandoned and turned their back on Nokia because of failures. Failure on the vendor side of things. So we're talking about the software, we're talking about the hardware. Clearly, Verizon didn't feel confident what Nokia was bringing to the table in 5G. They walked away. You know, they bounced on them. And that's a problem because there's not a lot of competition in that space either. So, best of both worlds is when everybody, wireless providers, wireless consumers, have multiple options that are as good as each other and compete aggressively for business. And I think the same could be said for the carriers. You know, they should be able to look at Nokia and Samsung and Ericsson and say, what can you provide me? I want the best deal with the best hardware, no negotiations, right? Those are non-negotiables. Mm-hmm. And I think what Nokia has become is they become the butt of the joke. Engineers don't prefer their hardware. Engineers don't like their solutions for DSS. Mm-hmm. Verizon literally terminated their Nokia contract over DSS problems. I'm being told that internally. And Samsung saved the day. Samsung is bringing a new portfolio of C-band devices, C-band, you know, the basebands, the radios, the antennas. You know, they've got these all-in-one solutions that are great, super efficient, they're lightweight. You know, all these different things. Mm-hmm. Samsung's just eating up their lunch. Mm-hmm. And they just bounced. And here's Nokia again falling out of favor with another carrier in AT&T. So I just kind of dictated what had happened over the last year or so. In Cleveland, they're ripping out all of the Nokia 5G nodes in favor of Samsung nodes.
Wow. You know, I wish that we had...
and big shout out to Chucky. Thanks for that super chat. I'm sorry if I missed that. Thanks, man. And then where was Keon's? AT&T's network is good for staying connected, but not for heavy data usage. Look at what happened when the iPad came out to the unlimited data. Dude, I don't know if you know this, Keon, but AT&T powers the SMT headquarters. Mm-hmm. That's 2 4K TVs, 2 iPads, a laptop, a desktop. I mean, it's legit. AT&T's got capacity, man. I don't know. Maybe it's the DC market. You're not seeing it there, but man, where they've got the 14 upgrades, the 30 upgrades, the backhauls kicking, it's strong. Thanks for the super chat, Keon. Appreciate you. We got JLS Tech with a super chat. Thank you for that. AT&T Home Internet only offers 25 down in my complex in the heart of... Okay, so those got to be areas where they get fiber, right, Moose?
Yep. Every location that's, you know, copper will eventually get it. That was what was being said.
Yeah, the fiber upgrades boost you immediately to 300 symmetrical. And then there's a 500 and I think the gigabit, right?
Right.
And then in some instances we're seeing double. We're going to go to 2 gigs.
Right. I mean, wow. There's even talk now of 5 gig. 10. The BGW 320, the new white router that you will be getting shortly, it's capable of aggregating all the Ethernet ports to give you 10 gig. One port itself is 5 gig. God damn. I mean, geez, what can you possibly do with 5 gig at the moment? Not much, but it's the fact that bigger things are coming that you'll need the bandwidth.
Here's the thing, Adam. Adam brings up a good point. It's all by design, 100%. But what I'm kind of noticing when I look at the way that the CLE is set up, they're not just focusing on AT&T. Like this is just personal opinion. You're not getting, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but the way that I see the Verizon millimeter wave node for fixed wireless access, it's cable-like. It's not fiber-like. We toss these words around. It's important that we make sure we frame it properly. Fiber is fiber. There's no negotiating, right? It's going to be gigabit up and down. In the current state of 5G, even with millimeter wave, we're restricted to LTE as the anchor, so we can't get the uplink. So if anything, Verizon's millimeter wave fixed wireless access is more cable-like. So it's going to be more like a Comcast connection. It's not going to be like a fiber connection. So it's more like Cox, where they're going to give you, 500 down and 30 up. It's going to be something more like along those lines. Now, once we get standalone services and there's more spectrum on the network and we're aggregating millimeter wave and C-band, now we're going to start seeing multi-gig on the down, and we could start seeing the 400 and 500s on the up. Moose, I'd say we're probably a couple years out, though. That's a conversation we're probably having in 2023.
I mean, remember...
and it's still not really competing with fiber, even if it's getting 300-400 up, because fiber at that point, I think commercially and residential, we'll be seeing gigabit speed as a standard.
I mean, remember what we were talking about last year, in the summertime. We got some sources at Qualcomm that they were testing the X60 modem, right? And that was able to carrier aggregate multi NR standalone bands. So I'm anticipating that this year in this, third quarter, fourth quarter, several bands will be migrated more spectrum to standalone 5G. Mm-hmm. One of them you talked about it recently with me, band 2, PCS, 1900 megahertz. I think you are very dead on what's going to happen there. The second one could be another low band, band 5 in areas that have band 5 for both Verizon and AT&T. Band 66 is popping up in places as well, right? And 66. So we can theorize it all day, but we can guarantee that the combinations are going to be N77 C-band plus a slightly lower band N2, N5, and another mid-band potentially N66.
Yeah, if we could start to see more millimeter wave dedicated to uplink, now it changes everything. Right. We've connected to those before, and we've seen 200 megabits per second. But on sites where it's just using LTE as the anchor, that's not the case, right? We're seeing 30, 40, 80. 80 is pretty much the max. I think I've seen 100 a couple of times. I've gotten 200 once or twice. Fiber's still the end game. But in places where fiber needs a competitor, I like fixed wireless through ultra wideband. Mm-hmm. Hey, what if something happens? You have the Verizon millimeter wave ultra wideband fixed wireless. Something happens, they mess up your billing, and I don't know, you get mad and you want a new provider. And AT&T's in the building with fiber. You switch.
100%.
It's good to have those options. So I'm not here trying to tell you, here's what you need to get. No, I'm trying to tell you is that there are going to be options for you in the future. Verizon's ultra wideband home fixed wireless is $50 if you have their wireless and you put it on autopay. Moose, what do you think of that price?
It's a beautiful price, bro. Beautiful price.
Equipment included, tax and fees included. It's $50.
It's absolutely amazing. One of the things that we have to remember is people are still overpaying for connectivity. Spectrum is charging for their quote unquote gigabit speeds over $135 now.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. Well, they're in certain areas monopolistic. In other markets like Dallas, where you have options, knock knock, fiber coming, $35. Even at the most expensive plan, Sneedman, $60. Jesus,
It's good. It's good.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is good. Again, I think it's the end game. I think everybody wants to end up on fiber. It's just it's hard to get it in some places. They're unwilling to invest. The ROI is tough. What else we got on the list, Moose?
Alrighty, on the list is we have a Deutsche Telekom, aka parent company to T-Mobile situation.
Mm-hmm.
First point that we wanted to talk about today is that number one, they had their investors call. But there was, before the investor call, a massive rumor from Fierce Wireless, correct?
Linda Hardesty.
That's right. We trust these folks, not the analysts that they're just quacking about nonsense. Unbelievable. This was a legitimate scoop, okay? Deutsche Telekom, who is partially owned by the government of Germany, correct? They want to increase their share of their ownership, I should say, of T-Mobile US. Now, this is really interesting because it seems to me that T-Mobile US does not want Deutsche Telekom to increase their share. From that article, it was very evident that there might be some leadership changes if that was to happen. What do you think about this, Neiman?
So the shares that they would be getting would be coming from SoftBank. It would be an estimated 8 to 9% shift away from the SoftBank shares over to the parent company Deutsche Telekom side. That would make them the majority shareholder. And what that does is that puts them in a very powerful position, more so than they are right now, even at 43%. The thing that I don't like, and I have to call a spade, I think what T-Mobile USA has done up to this point has been nothing short of tremendous. They've come in, they've shaken the industry. John gets a lot of credit for the turnaround at the company. A belief in himself, a belief in the company and their direction, the willingness to compete, the willingness to fight and scrap, and then executing the merger, kind of getting that, I call it the Trump administration stimulus, right? Kind of gets them ahead a little bit in 5G and stuff. It gives them a chance to compete with the bigger two competitors. And that's all of a sudden going to possibly be overshadowed if Deutsche Telekom comes in and starts to change some of the corporate structure at T-Mobile USA. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying there is a risk there. Because here's what we currently know about Deutsche Telekom. They are indebted. They are not very profitable. They are 100% not as successful as T-Mobile USA. What has made T-Mobile USA has been their willingness to compete. Deutsche Telekom in Germany is more like Verizon. They're the more premium carrier, and they're a little bit more expensive, and they don't have growth. They're a good network. They do a nice job of networking. Nobody's questioning the chops, but that it's almost like in telecom, if you're excellent, you don't make as much money or have as much growth. If you're less than excellent, it means you're saving money. So you become more profitable or it's easy to grow. It's really weird. Like, it's hard to do both, So Deutsche Telekom has found some tough sledding. If they start to take certain funding and a certain structure away from T-Mobile USA, then they're going to take a lot of the corporate momentum that T-Mobile USA has established, which I don't want to see happen. Even Eugene, who I don't like, I feel like he has a right, as the heir apparent to John, to at least see through his vision. To at least be able to say, look, I'm here, I'm the CEO now, this is the direction of the company. You guys want to out him after a year? You want to change the corporate structure after a year, the executive structure? I hope not. even though I don't like Eugene, I don't think he's much of a leader. I think he's just really fake when it comes to his like. Maybe I should just unfollow him on Twitter, and then maybe it'll be better. So that way I don't have to see all the nonsense. But honestly, it's hard to argue that, their stock price is up, the growth is there, these types of things. Big shout out to Carlos. Thank you for that super chat, Bretta. Eugene got to go. Same with Neville Ray. Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, they've made it up to this point. See, for me, I don't want them to go. I want them to see their vision all the way through. And then at the end of the day, when they leave, we could say, okay, let's reflect on their performance. Like, how we reflect about Randall Stevenson?
Mm-hmm.
We need to have those same reflections when these other guys finish. Lowell McAdam at Verizon and all these guys, Dan Hesse, Gary Forsey. We look back, the Donovans of the world, we look back and we assess how they did. Marcelo, a complete failure, all these guys. I don't want to see them come in and do this. If they just want to have the majority share, be the majority shareholder for the sake of just having that power and having that financial fluidity, then that's fine. I mean, they're the parent company, right? They were the ones that bought in on T-Mobile when nobody else did, right? So like back in 2009, 2010, nobody would touch T-Mobile from a mile away. These guys come in and invest. And really, they were about to bail. They were looking for a buyout, right? The AT&T failed merger. They addressed possibly merging with Sprint multiple times. They were always looking for a buyout. But that's where they stand. They're in a position of power. And honestly, T-Mobile USA is a bigger company than Deutsche Telekom. They have way more customers. They operate with a much higher revenue. And honestly, they're more profitable at this point. I feel like Deutsche Telekom is trending down, and that's where they're hedging their bets is like, and I swear, I know this is crazy, but if it wasn't for the government support, would Deutsche Telekom still be in business?
They would be a considerably smaller company, less profitable. But you know how it is, since it's partially, government owned, they'll just get a bailout.
Yeah, but I don't want to see Deutsche Telekom come in and change T-Mobile structure here. They're a foreign company, and you want to be a big piece of the financial success, but they have yet to really invest in the company. They have taken. You remember the failed merger with AT&T moves. Mm-hmm. That's their $3 billion. I don't know, man. And like I said, I don't like Eugene. I don't like sweaty armpits. He's fake. He's a fraud. But, he still has a right to, do his thing. And they've been successful. I mean, the shares are up. People are they're viewing the company in a positive light. And their marketing is off the chains, and they're ahead in 5G and all these different things. It would be a shame to see the company have to change by now. Hey, thanks, Tito. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Welcome to the show, man. Yeah, Carlos, you know how I am, man. I'm, dude's, like I said, he's a fake and a fraud, and, it is what it is. How do you think this plays out, Moose?
Well, let's just rewind the clock. I'm sure you're going to remember this. Vodafone, once upon a time, owned a majority. I actually, you know what? I'm not going to say what percentage it was because I don't remember the exact percentages, but enough that Vodafone owned a significant portion of Verizon US.
It was like 51%.
Right. And Verizon bought them out. Massive amounts of money, bro.
Huge deal.
It was the biggest thing that they had to do before C-band. Before C-band, that was the biggest thing they have to do. So, if T-Mobile US wants to become independent, right, they're going to have to come up with big billions. Easily. Now, I think they would have to buy out Deutsche Telekom stake for $80 billion, bro. Way more than Vodafone because of the situation, 5G, the perception, the market penetration, everything. It's just that valuable, the amount of shares, the percentage of the company.
I don't think Deutsche Telekom's backing out of this. I think this is like their golden parachute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their company is not effective like T-Mobile USA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've got this. This is like, you know, it's like you're walking the tightrope, you know, and there's a net under you. T-Mobile's their net. T-Mobile USA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and because they're not winning. The other competitors in Germany are eating their lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it plays out. I even if they do get those shares from SoftBank, I still don't want to see them intervene. I don't want to see them change any structure. I don't want to see them getting their greedy paws on a bunch of stuff and changing things. It's not really something that they should do because, you know, T-Mobile has good momentum right now. They're trending in a positive way. That does not need to change. And honestly, as a wireless customer in the United States, I don't want it to change. And we shouldn't have a company from another country dictating what's going on with our economy and our wireless telecom, honestly.
No, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider on this one, but just the fact that this has been reported, right? Fierce Wireless is not going to just come out and say some rumors.
True.
This is legit, man. This is a very strong lead.
We need to know what Deutsche Telekom's motive is. Is it, you know, like, is it financially driven, which I think that's solely what it is. But are they going to be disruptive when they do get that increased market, you know, the share number, you know?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's going to be very interesting. And I'll be honest with you, I feel worried for T-Mobile US. And, you know, regardless of the opinions that we have about them, you're absolutely right what you said a little bit ago. You don't want a foreign company dictating what you should and should not do and how much you can spend and what you shouldn't be spending on. Sure. You want to be able to provide the service and the best foot forward for your customers and your shareholders. In this case, the shareholder is forcing you to do certain things that you might not be comfortable to do, and that might not be what the current leadership of T-Mobile was thinking about.
Yeah, somebody was saying that, I want to say maybe it was Tyrone who had mentioned it. He was saying that Mike Sievert doesn't want another boss and he doesn't want somebody over him, you know, and I didn't see it as that, you know, because it circles back to just the shares, right, being majority shareholders. So we'll see what happens. Right. What else is on the list, Moose?
The self-proclaimed Spectrum and 5G leadership. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, I don't get it, dude.
And this is T-Mobile, by the way. This is T-Mobile.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the most important connection in wireless today? LTE or 5G?
I would answer it a different way. A reliable connection is the most important connection.
So which connection is the most reliable, LTE or 5G?
And that's where the debate comes in, right? Right now we have a proven system, right? LTE. It's everywhere, pretty much. Mm-hmm. It's working. 5G is still in its infancy, in my opinion. You know, we're barely able to get enough phones to the mass, populace. And then, yeah, exactly. Let's talk about this.
Okay, so on the left, we have scale. The way that this particular these infographics scale is on the left-hand side, you'll see the vertical y-axis. It ranges from 0 to 300 million pops. These are points of presence It's an estimation of coverage for wireless networking. They use the term POPs. Okay, great. So end of year 2021 would be the end of this calendar year. So we'll say, 5 or 6 months from now, T-Mobile is estimated to be at, well, their projection is that they want to be at 200 million POPs of N41, right? They're currently above 100 million. I think they said that are they approaching 150 million now, like mid-year?
Yes.
Whatever the situation is. They're saying that, they'll be at 200 million at the end of the year. Once C-band clears, the most likely scenario is that Verizon and AT&T will have done enough preparation to where they will have a sizable amount of C-band live, so the N77. I really do think that within 1 quarter of clearance, so let's say that C-band clears in December, I think that by March, we should be pushing 100 million POPs for Verizon and AT&T.
Dependent on the equipment, correct?
Sure, right. It's going to be about supply and scale and everything.
Right.
So if that's the case, T-Mobile is estimated to be at over 200. So then Verizon and AT&T will be at just around 100. If we look at end of year 2022, I think, again, Verizon and AT&T are probably, doubling their POPs, probably at 200 million. T-Mobile says they'll be at 300 million, right? So like end of year 2023. So what this infographic is trying to push is they're basically saying there's no version of wireless networking where Verizon and AT&T can compete with T-Mobile. So notice that this is not a network metric. It's not about overall network. It's about 5G network. And the reason why they want to make sure that they frame it as 5G is because the truth is that they have moved away from LTE. They have already conceded that they lost LTE. They've moved away from addressing their LTE shortcomings. So they're going to focus all their money, all their effort, and all of their time into 5G. Now, here's the problem with that, Moose. If you are going to focus on 5G, you need to give a 5G phone to every customer, because there are going to be people who don't want to spend $1,000 on a new phone, and there are some people who are very price sensitive to cost when it comes to devices, and they're going to be on your LTE network, and honestly, it's not good, right? It's the smallest LTE network, and it's also the least capacitive because they're starting to shift all of that spectrum over to 5G, right? Honestly, Moose, I was using my Google Pixel 5 on T-Mobile with LTE only, and it was a horrible experience. My video was frequently buffering. The signal was in and out. It was bad. So I can't blame them for moving away from LTE.
The interesting thing about this graphic is this is just the presumed from what was being reported, right?
Right.
And you're absolutely right, Sneedman. You're really going to take conservative estimates as fact? I mean, we just figured out that C-band signal, which supposedly is worse than 2.5 gigahertz, right, Sneed? Right? Mm-hmm. Supposedly is worse. It doesn't propagate very well, blah, 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 blah. The nonsense from the magenta thongs. C-band is projected to propagate up to 9 miles. Dude, that's beautiful, man. Like that,
yeah,
that's
that's crazy. I know that the transmission strength is really high. We'll have to see once it goes live, honestly. If we look at this other infographic, Moose, 5G midband megahertz pops covered. Again, higher number is better. So end of year 2021, AT&T and Verizon don't exist. End of year 2022, they barely exist. And, of course, T-Mobile is way up, projecting way up.
An exponential.
Yeah. And then everybody else is playing catch up. Honestly, man, like, I don't know, man. I don't like T-Mobile infographics. I always feel like it's not really designed to tell you anything you need to know. It tells you what they want to know that's going to fit their narrative and marketing. So to me, like when Neville's Twitter account tweets or when Mike Sievert's account tweets, I try to look past it, man, because they make it sound like no other network matters, and it's just not the case. Because when we look at the third-party testing firms, we look at room metrics, it's like a totally different story. Verizon's ultra wideband is awesome. They tell you it sucks. AT&T's LT network is incredible. They tell you they're old. It's old technology. I'll never forget it, man. I went into a T-Mobile store back in, I'd say probably like 2015 or 2016. I had Verizon, obviously, at the time. And a guy was trying to get me to switch to T-Mobile, and he's like, why would you like an old carrier that has old towers? You want a new carrier with new towers. And you know what I thought to myself? I was like, bruh, that network that has old towers is enormous because it's old, because it's been there, and it's got the infrastructure. It's been around. Like the network is just larger because it's had a steady investment in it for decades. T-Mobile's been playing catch up because they were late to LTE. They were a smaller company for many years. That's not a personal slight at T-Mobile. It's just that's the fact, right? So they've got some catching up to do. And, they want to sell you on this stuff, and it's fine. I'm a network guy. I'm not a marketing guy. I'm not like, these companies, I'm good. I don't need them to sell me on anything. I'm not an investor, and I'm not actively shopping to switch carriers. I have the carriers I have. I'm good. I have them all. I test all of them. I've got paid lines on all of them. So, this is not for me. This is the stuff that's designed to shift the investors' money, right? To keep money coming in and new investors, and it's designed to try to get people to switch market share. The only thing that I don't think this helps is, oh, I'm sorry, Lawrence. You had a super chat? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Wait, did my volume cut out, Moose? Am I still here?
We're good. You're good.
We're good. Lawrence, thanks for the super chat, man. Hawaii not getting C-band. Any thoughts on that for Sneed and Moose? Okay. Now, here's the thing, Lawrence. There's no Block A, no Block B or C in Hawaii. You could be getting CBRS coming your way. So it's not the end of the world. You might just be getting a different type of mid-band spectrum coming to Hawaii. See, the thing is, Lawrence, is that, Hawaii is not even densely populated. Do we see a requirement of C-band having to be on the islands, Moose?
Yes. Because at the end of the day, you want to have the most capacity for any type of application, whether it's AR, VR, medical, whatever.
Yeah, but the FCC obviously did not peg any licenses available in that area.
I know. That's what... It's very complicated.
Yeah. I mean, that has to get cleared by satellite providers. I mean, I don't know. What's up, Big Lou? What's happening? Speed dropped big time. Wow. Yeah, man. I was telling Tyrone one day, if you look at these infographics, AT&T and Verizon should just pack up their bags and lock their doors, right? Just shut it down and file bankruptcy.
Oh man. I mean, what can you say, man? When you have such a quote unquote marketing company, I'm always on record about this, man. T-Mobile's a marketing company. They're not a networking company. They're not a mobile carrier. They're the best marketing company of the modern decade because they are able to represent numbers in a way that makes it so attractive. I mean, just look at what you have up on the screen. It's in a very attractive slide, right? It's not boring white. It's not just black. Has a couple of mixed colors, and it's showing some very inaccurate estimates. To be completely honest with you, these are conservative.
So AT&T is a holdings company.
Mm-hmm.
T-Mobile is a marketing company.
That's right.
What is Verizon?
And Verizon is a You know, Verizon.
Are they a wireless company?
Verizon is a company that doesn't get that the market is shifting. Because if they've realized that, they would have figured out how to reduce prices to stay competitive, like we've talked about. That's the only thing. Other than that, their network is solid. Their, backing is solid. The problem is always going to be their price is too high. And that's why, Tyrone, you have been mentioning Verizon's losing market share daily, hourly.
I'm good with that. I'm kind of happy to hear it. Yeah, I kind of like that. I think it's good. It's, how else will they change if they don't lose market share? If they continue to hold on to market share, then they're going to say, well, our plans are good. They're attractive and people want them. Why would we drop pricing if we're still selling?
Right. And you don't, like you said, you don't want we don't want one carrier to have like a super market share, 60%.
No, that's stupid.
Insane.
Tyrone tells me about the market share in El Paso.
Right.
And I look at the market share for Verizon in Cleveland. It doesn't make sense. It's so bad. But when you look back at the way that, because I've been a wireless customer in this market for, this will be the third decade where I've had a cellular connection. Like going back to the 90s.
Wow.
So 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now the 20s, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it was Alltel. And then Alltel was inherited and acquired by Verizon. So it was always the network that had you covered. So like everybody in Ohio, it was Verizon and AT&T. And then like I want T-Mobile to have more market share. They have the most capacity here. They have the most megahertz of spectrum on air. But they have even after the Sprint merger, T-Mobile's still only at 18% market share here. It's really bad. It doesn't make sense, actually. They should be probably closer to 30%, just for the sake of balance and equilibrium. I think AT&T's network is really good here. I'm surprised they're not over 30%. But there's just Verizon has marketed. It's a football town. Verizon's all over NFL Sunday. Verizon's always had the most coverage. They've always been the name in wireless. A little bit of AT&T because AT&T has the mind share when it comes to home wireline and TV. So, yeah, man. We needed more even distribution and market share. I mean, even in worst case scenario, should a carrier have more than 40%, let alone 50%?
No, I mean the perfect equilibrium, in my opinion, since there's only 3 carriers now, right, Sneed? And for the people that are talking about Dish, I don't even know why the hell they're even talking, man. There's no way. Come on, let's be realistic.
Does anybody see a world in which Dish has more than 10% market share in 5 years? I mean, what is 10% market share? That's like 30 million.
That's a lot, man.
Right? So, like, do they get there?
No.
Are there 30 million Americans willing to try Dish Wireless a year from now, 2 years from now?
I mean, the Boost Mobile customers are going to be migrated onto that thing, but I hear a lot of Boost Mobile customers that are leaving, man. They're leaving to Metro. They're leaving. Actually, I don't even know why you would leave to Metro unless it's for the actual unlimited plan, but it's the same network right now. But
you will be paying more money too.
Right.
But to get the unlimited, you're going to go up $5 or $10, but you're going to get like Amazon and stuff.
But they are going to TracFone, bro. TracFone is huge right now.
TracFone, Cricket's getting a little business. Metro's getting a little business. Visible, like, it's really popular on YouTube communities. It's really popular on Reddit communities.
But that's like niche, both of them.
Super niche, and it's like, it's more, Reddit and YouTube is more of an echo chamber than it is, a marketing technique. Like if you go to a random tech live stream and they're talking about phones, iPhones, Galaxies, and maybe carriers come up occasionally. Somebody says Visible, they're like, what is that? They have no clue. We know only because we know all things, when it comes to wireless. Like seriously, I think between the 100 people watching this in the live, big shout out to you guys, the 90 Patreon supporters, and then those that watch on the replay. I mean, that's literally 1% of wireless telecom consumers. You know, they have, you know, the average consumer in wireless telecom pays their bill faithfully, doesn't come and go, you know, and as long as they're getting what they're paying for, they're secure with that.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I still feel bad, man, for the Boost Mobile customer. You know, I see people walking into these like dealers, these Boost Mobile dealers, man, and I just start shaking my head. I actually have talked to somebody that came out of one, and they were obviously only speaking Spanish. So I asked them, you know, why would you choose this? Why not Metro? Why not T-Mobile, right? Because obviously Hispanic market share tends to go to T-Mobile because it's constant advertisements on the Spanish channels.
It's a target demographic.
Yeah, target demographic. And the guy was saying, you know, I just wanted to shop around, but I'm clearly, I didn't like what they had. So then I asked him, so what about Cricket? He's like, I'm on to that one next. I'm going to check it out. So people are shopping around, Sneed, man. They're not staying prepaid wise. They're not staying long.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some more movement. The prepaid market's pretty fierce when it comes to competition. Pricing, there's not a lot of, you know, margin for gains to make profit. The profit margins are slim. And then there's just a lot of brands, right? There seems to be a little bit of growth in postpaid. AT&T's kind of having like a renaissance in their subscriber growth. T-Mobile continues to add 1 million subscribers basically quarterly. They pretty much, it was just the one quarter. It was Q2 of last year, which was essentially the pandemic. Like everybody was home, right? Nobody was in stores. Nobody was upgrading. They would have probably hit 1 million there too. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing that happens in some of these markets. You know, El Paso, the CLE, SoCal, you know, Dallas is pretty nuts. You know, when you look at the market share there, New York City as well. So
I wanted to I know that you asked me. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to show you something. You asked me a while back what's going on with T-Mobile in Southern California. And I have been testing here in Southern California. Let me see if I can, hold on, because I don't want any of the shills to be like, oh, he's staging this and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, this is actually really good. So, we're inside a house, second floor.
is that N41?
This is N41.
Nice.
The N41 is about 0.5 to 0.7 of a mile away.
That's
really
really
the
good.
northeast.
That's really
So,
good, dude.
This is really solid, right?
Yeah,
This is really solid.
yeah.
If I point it actually towards the direction of the site, it can get to, you know, approximately.
Wow, look at that tower. It's so well optimized. Do you see the ping times there?
The ping is nice. You know,
Wow, that is really good.
It was a full rip and replace. Band 71 was not there before, so they added that. Band 41. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really good. I mean, it's peak times
really
on a Friday. You know, 5:30 p.m. At night, I was able to get about 700 from this site. And by the way, shout out to Carlos for the connection to this eSIM. But here's the problem, Sneed, man. As soon as I get out of this room, N41 goes away.
Completely?
Completely. And
it doesn't just degrade, it disappears?
I'll show you.
Okay. Let's just go into the hallway or the next room or whatever. It's gone. It's gone.
It's now on 71. You see?
Huh.
If I go back towards that room, it'll come back.
So basically you're on edge in your family room.
I mean, this is, you know, one of our spare rooms here on the second floor. But I could tell immediately that this 2.5.
Wait, you're on the second floor right now, and it won't connect?
No, I have to be
What?
pretty much close to the window. Watch, you'll see. I have to probably even get closer. Hold on.
It's not connecting, honestly.
This is what I mean by there's still some improvements that need to happen because this is a 71 test.
100%. Yeah.
I'm going to do so the shills don't complain. I'm going to do an airplane mode reset, and it's going to connect to 41. I'm telling you, bro, I give them all the opportunities, right? We give them the opportunity. But again, it's not good enough. Airplane mode. Give it a couple seconds.
Now, is that room in particular facing the sector, like it's facing it?
Yeah, so the sector is that way.
Okay.
It's pointing this way, directly this way.
Oh, so you are in line of sight right now.
It is. Technically, it is in line of sight. If there was like no trees or whatever, it's this way, exactly.
Okay.
So we'll do a thing here.
That's interesting.
Oh, wow, it's not connecting now. Interesting. Wow.
Huh. Usually, if you're on a second floor, the signal's much better.
Yeah. I mean, you guys saw it live, right? It was 400. Now
they're just gonna have to densify, Moose. They're gonna have to get site after site after site, so that way it just improves the coverage and the range.
And I'll give you another update on this. So it's funny because I told Zero Core RF about this. This site is at a post office. First, the top sector the top rack is Sprint still, and then it's T-Mobile on the second. I'm assuming that they're just gonna move up to the second rack.
Yeah, they should.
Or sorry, to the first rack. But
sure.
There was a question from the folks, right? Is N41 everywhere in Southern California? And I can confirm it is not. It is not even close, bro.
Every fifth site, every fourth site,
every damn, I don't even know how to answer that question. I think this now is on connected to 41. Yep. Let's see. Boom. See, it had to take 2 resets in order to get. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna try to get it even higher.
I wonder if a dedicated firmware on like a Galaxy phone would be better for N41 because they've got more optimization input. Because it'll be a carrier branded phone. Like the iPhones, there's no riffraff.
Right.
You can't, effectively change the firmware. So, yeah, I wonder.
Let's see.
That's pretty good, man.
See if we can get it to higher, almost 500 here. Hold on.
Signal is what, like 4 out of 5 bars or something?
Yeah, it's 4 out of 5. I mean, it's almost at 500, and it's peak times on a Friday. So
the uplink is nothing though.
Yeah, the uplink is terrible because again, it's 0.7 miles away. There's trees, there's houses. If I walk towards the site,
yeah, but Moose, 0.7 miles, and you're on the second floor. I mean, AWS doesn't have those problems, and that's 2.1 gigahertz.
Mm-hmm. And
so
see,
they've got some work to do there.
You're absolutely right what you just said right there. AWS doesn't have this problem. PCS doesn't have this problem, right?
They're going to have to work through it. It's going to need densification. It's just going to need basically as many sites as you can possibly do, and since they're calling it their ultra capacity layer, it has to have ultra capacity. You're going to have to densify,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Sneedman. To me, this is very shocking, right? But, it is what it is. I mean, it does the job, right? Showing you big numbers.
What else we got to do?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for the overall topics. I mean, it was a pretty busy week, man. I mean, multiple streaming network news, right? Stream Wars news. There was multiple, AT&T news for Verizon. I mean, there was one thing that they're investing more on the IoT business. There was a new vice president, right, appointed for the Verizon business side. Verizon Business is marketing more. T-Mobile, right? The new small business plans that include Office 365 plus credits to advertisement agencies and stuff like that.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff, actually. I kind of like it. I'm sure there are some resources there that are going to help small businesses, and those plans are pretty attractive. They're giving a lot of access, like the tethering and the hotspot data is pretty high. The priority data is pretty good. The entry level plan kind of sucks, I'll be honest with you, but the other two, the mid tier and the higher tiered one, those are pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, T-Mobile is definitely giving a lot of value even to the small and medium-sized businesses, and that's who they're targeting, big time. They're trying to gain share in that space, and right now, Verizon is going to be losing a lot of market share because they were the number one for small business. It's going to be very interesting, And honestly, who can beat Verizon's $30 a month line access fee? Not line access fee, just the line is $30 for a business. That's what they're advertising.
That's the business.
Right now.
Is that their? So that's the current business offers.
Yeah, for Verizon, the cheapest connected plan for a phone is $30 a month. That's amazing, man.
For business, that's a good price.
For business, that's right.
T-Mobile's coming in at $25 for their entry level. I forget what the naming scheme is. They got three of them. That's the first one, I think, is 25. The next one's 30, and then what is it called, Ultimate or something? I think that one's $40. Basically, it's like Magenta Max for business. Basically.
Yeah, it's it's a solid plan, Sneed, man.
I can't use them. I could never have my business on T-Mobile here in the CLE. SIM cards stop reading. I can't. I shared my frustration the other day on Twitter. I posted a picture of the SIM not reading, like no network. Like I'm in the gym, I got a full signal, middle of the song, everything's cool, and then all of a sudden, song cuts. I look at my phone, the SIM card's not reading, the network's out. And it's like loading. It's doing the spinny thing. Unbelievable, man. I was so pissed because my goal was to actually test T-Mobile as a main driver. So I didn't take another phone with me.
Jesus.
So I was basically stuck with the spinning wheel for like 5 minutes. So stupid.
And then sometimes that's not a SIM card issue, right?
No, it's not a SIM card issue because this, I was not having, any problems like the SIM card that was in that phone right before it was AT&T. I never had that trouble.
Right.
So look, I don't care who hears this. The T-Mobile engineering team is doing something wrong in the CLE. I'm not going to sit here and apologize for them. No. They have trouble. They have problems. The tower sites, look what they did to my T-Mobile home internet experience. I still haven't done my final review, and I really don't want to do it. I'll be honest with you, Moose. I don't want to do my final review on it. Because I'm not going to say anything good about the T-Mobile home internet because it wasn't good for me.
It was a rush product.
I can't lie.
It was a rush product. The thing overheats, straight up. Multiple different hardware replacements that you've had. Supposedly there's a firmware that finally gives you VPN access. That is mind-blowing, dude. Can you imagine all the different people that were needing VPN for their home office or whatever because of the pandemic? You couldn't do it because the home internet didn't allow you to. Dude, it just doesn't make sense, bro.
Big shout out to Ron. What's up, man? Yeah, man. Yeah, it's can't do it, man. I know they're the fastest carrier with this N41 stuff. It's good, man. But I need to trust. I need something I could trust. Ryan, I don't know, maybe that's the situation. Maybe that's why we have trouble with signal. My battery life with my T-Mobile SIM is bad too. And people tell me it's not like that where they live. So what am I supposed to do other than to think it's the networking team in my market? What else am I supposed to think, Moose?
I don't know, man. I mean, this is some. If I, in the words of the man, the legend, the myth, Stephen A, it's blasphemous. I'm telling you, I don't understand, bro. Come on, dude. 2016. I keep going back, and people always are like, "You're just a broken record." Bro, 2016 gave me everything I needed to know about how T-Mobile runs their business from the engineering side.
I just wish they were better here. I mean, I'd like to use them as my main provider for more than 2-3 days until I pull my hair out.
Bro, not even third world countries are as unreliable connectivity wise.
I don't know, man.
Dude.
You know, so it's not the account that's the problem. You know, Pete's the account holder. You know, that's how I have access through T-Mobile. He says everything's great in Longmont, Colorado, and Boulder. Pete's no liar. Pete tells me everything. He's an open book, dude. He's so transparent and honest. You know, he will call a spade a spade. And he tells me Band 71's great here. You know, there's a little bit of N41 here. It's freaking fast. He's getting 400 or 500 megs. You know, and he says, I don't get dropped calls. My video doesn't buffer. He's doing 720p on a 480p plan. You know, like everything's cool for him. That's why I think it's the engineering team here. These sites are just problematic. But how long are they going to be problematic? Because if it's a Sprint merger thing, it's been a full year and a half, well, full year of network integration, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, if we're being very honest here, okay, you have had enough time to fix the problems. If you are the engineering team, somebody's getting fired. This is ridiculous.
I still can't mobile live stream on T-Mobile because the tower density.
How can you? How can you when I just showed you that as soon as you walk through one wall, boom, the connectivity goes back to low band?
But so that's not the issue. The issue, well, that's an issue for you there, but like the issue for my mobile live streaming is the tower density is, they stretch the signal so far that the signal gets weak between the two tower sites that you're going to hand off from. So from tower site 1 to tower site 2, if the signal drops, the uplink tanks and then the live stream dies.
Right.
You know, so I can't live stream with them. I can with Verizon and AT&T and FirstNet. You know, so you know, there's certain things, networking 101, overlap is good, redundancy is good, you know, capacity and all that is good. But it just takes, I'm telling you, man, it needs proper thought process, careful planning and engineering. You know, and maybe Tyrona's onto something. He said, you know, they built their network to accommodate their native customers. And when the Sprint started happening, now it's kind of like maybe they bit off more than they can chew. You know,
I think that
they and we said that they were going to have trouble during the merger process. You know, me and Pete called it on the podcast. We've talked about it, Moose. You know, we figured it'd be like 6 to 8 months, but it's going on a year now.
I don't think that they're going to be... Okay, I'm going to put a prediction here. I'm on record as of today, 5/21/21. The first full year of C-band for both Verizon and AT&T, which is end of year 2022, right? Neither carrier will have the issues with the mid-band 5G as T-Mobile's having in 1 year with band 41. I'm on record today.
Yeah, but that's easy, Moose. Come on, man. You know that N77 is going to be a clean band.
Very clean.
You know, there's not going to be any trouble with propagation. And I mean, the tower density is already there in most instances, right? So, oh, and by the way, this is just a big prediction from the SMT.
Official
May
today.
21st. Yeah, May 21st, 2021. I am predicting that very, very soon give or take a couple of months, Verizon is about to activate N2. So Band 2, they're going to DSS it. But they're going to do it more similar to what AT&T is doing with N2. A little bit different than what Verizon does with N5. And I think, this is just a prediction, this is where things kind of fall off the rails a little bit. I think they're going to do the first standalone DSS carrier aggregation. So N2 and N5, which would mean dedicated for uplink and downlink. So I'm putting that out there. I think that's going to happen because I'm no longer connecting to more than a 5 megahertz channel of band 2 LTE. So as I'm tracking my connections, I literally can't even force it, Moose. All you can get, even on a by itself, LTE band 2 is 5 megahertz now on Verizon. So they've kind of taken band 2 out of the equation. Even the uplink is mostly band 66 now and band 4. So there's something going on, and I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be N2, and then with that, they're going to be carrier aggregating the N2 and the N5. And I think it's going to be a good connection. You know, the even though it's non-standalone today, as standalone, the range should be a little bit better. You know, the speed should be a little bit better. And it's not going to be night and day. It's still DSS. But if it improved speeds by 10%, and if it improved range by 10%, got you a better signal, maybe your frickin' phone wouldn't die so much, you know, your battery life.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Sneedman, I wanted to ask you, you know, it's been a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
With this N41 situation. We got markets like El Paso, like how Tyrone's been reporting that it's more widespread, the N41. We still haven't seen significant backhaul increases across the board. I can confirm that this particular backhaul that's on the site that you saw live, the SMT podcast, is 5 gigahertz backhaul. 5 gig backhaul. Apologize for the mispronunciation. Is this enough? Is this what we're expecting from this dramatic transformation?
I don't know. I think the rest of the year should be a focus of backhaul investment for T-Mobile. They've got a nice sizable footprint of N41 sites now that need the backhaul upgrade. If they can push the fiber optic, they increase the potential of the N41 connection. We don't want to see 50 to 250 megabits per second on N41. We want to see 700, 800, right? Because they're widening channels to like 80 megahertz, 100 megahertz.
Mm-hmm.
These channels are getting pretty freaking wide. I mean, when millimeter wave was broadcasting 100 megahertz channels, they were doing gigabit speed. So, you know, why not? Why not push the issue?
It's just
costs money. It costs money, and it's gonna, you know, I don't know. Neville is saying that they're getting some great deal on the fiber now. I don't know.
It's I mean, come on, bro. Let's be realistic.
I don't know, man. That's what they say.
I know. I'm not saying it's using, of course, but it just doesn't make sense to me, bro. I'll be honest with you. The only way that they can get a quote unquote amazing deals is somebody is going to have to get rid of their fiber line, and somebody else has to come in with a new fiber line. Right? You know, you're going to be giving more of your business to another competitor than the current established company that you have with the business right now. So who is your fiber providers? I mean, there's multiple of them. Lumen, AT&T, Verizon. What's the other one? Zios or whatever. There's so many options. But at the end of the day, they have their rates, and the rates are the rates. What are you going to do? Offer spectrum? Hey, if you give me the fiber, you know, at this price, I'm going to give you most of my business in this market. You know,
no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
No.
So
I mean, how many negotiation, you know, pieces can you actually have? You know, are you going to pin Charter up against the Zayo? You know, are you going to do that?
You know, at the end of the day, I was listening in on and I know that we were talking about this a while back. Stanky mentioned that a great network always starts at the fiber level. You always want to have the best backbone possible, period.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because then you can, once you have fiber laid everywhere, you can transform that fiber into CRAN, in building DAS solutions or CRAN solutions, fixed wireless, 5G, and then the future generations will always need fiber, right? Because it's scalable up to multi-hundred gig speeds. And then eventually it goes into your home, potentially, AT&T, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait, Sneed, for you to get fiber so that you can see what I'm talking about, bro. Cable is just not it. Cable was such a legacy. It's now just such a legacy technology that.
How did Los Mobile hold up on the live stream today?
It's beautiful. No issues. You see? Provided by fiber, from wireless.
Right.
But, Los Mobile's doing something special, man. Hashtag Los Mobile. Shout out.
Yeah. If you guys are interested, if you want a really, really good deal on Los Mobile, we've got a bargain like Patreon account, right? So I've got like a promotion going on the Patreon page. So what you could do is you could support the SMT on Patreon and get yourself in on a Los Mobile promotion. Basically bundles you into a group account and can save you anywhere between $5 and $10 per month on your line of service. So if you get a voice line with data, unlimited data, QCI 6, the highest priority, unlimited tethering and hotspot. They've got a hotspot plan. They've got tablet plans. You can get the great pricing of Los Mobile with that incredible high access experience, and then also get an additional discount because you're a member of the Patreon page. So down in the description box, there's a link to the Patreon page. If you become a Patreon supporter, any tier, you qualify for that promotion, and you can take advantage of that discount. And that is a reoccurring discount. That is your monthly promotion. And you get to keep it as long as you're a Patreon supporter. So, I've obviously, when I built the Patreon, it was about giving people ways to get additional content, right? More videos, the additional live stream on, weekly and all this. And now I've been able to also use it as purchasing power through Los Mobile, who has been so kind to extend the promotion and help people save even more money. Win-win, bro. Yeah, man. And that's on behalf of, the SMT community as well. All of this, because of you guys.
So, I guess to wrap Sneed man, we talked about the Warner Media divestiture. We talked about the combination, right, of HBO Max combining with Discovery Plus. More than likely, it's just going to be one massive app, right? That's what seems to be likely. Yeah. CapEx is going to increase to $24 billion.
We're very happy about that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
If I had to say the greatest takeaway from the media spinoff of Time Warner and Discovery and that merger is the fact that AT&T realigns its commitment to building a really, really high-capacity 5G network quickly. They're no longer in the shadows. That was the fear, Moose, is AT&T was going to be standing on the sidelines while Verizon and T-Mobile went at it. That is not going to be the case.
You know what this is, right, Sneed? This is the return. This is the return, dog. I mean, this is legit. No joke. No.
DJ, kick the music.
I'm telling you, this is legit. Mm-hmm. The Empire is back, and they're going full force.
Yeah.
We're talking massive CRAN in the thousands. We're talking about, multiple thousands more macros, more fiber. I mean, what can you do with $9 billion that you weren't doing before? I mean, that's the question. That's the, huge question of the decade. By 2030, I think we can easily predict what we're going to see nationwide. I know we were on a call with Tyrone earlier today. We extrapolated the coverage expansion right? We did simple math, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every month, AT&T is adding 0.01 million square miles easily. And that's just from public knowledge every single month. So anyways, that being said, the trend is by next year, first quarter, at the minimum, 100% national coverage, no more roaming. That
So
is
the 100% of the United States population will be covered. Native.
100%. Unbelievable.
Yep. If you're interested in Los Mobile, you can check him out on Twitter at Los Mobile 702. You can also check him out on YouTube. Carlos S. Tech is the YouTube channel, and he's got the links in his videos as well. There's also a Discord server, I believe, and they do have an email address, and they have the website up and running now. So I think it's losmobileusa.com. Ooh, 24-hour promo.
Starting
Carlos is pushing it. Let's see it. Let's go big. Join today. Sneed Patreon. Send me proof you signed up today to the middle tier at least. $15 off first month, and then month after you get SMT Patreon discount code that's on there. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Hey,
Wow.
Los, appreciate it. Yeah, if you sign up for the Patreon, there's an actual post for the promotion where it gives you the promo code and all of that. So, yes,
Los
very
Mobile,
good. Awesome.
Man.
Thanks, Los. Appreciate you, man.
Jesus. Unbelievable promo, dog. Unbelievable.
And think about it. Like, you're supporting me creating content, and, you're supporting yourself and getting a great deal on wireless. And for those of you that don't know, I'm using Los Mobile to run the entire SMT headquarters. That's this live stream. That's the two 4K TVs. That's an iPad Pro.
All at the
That's
same time.
my daughter. They all run on the same connection. Yeah, dude.
No buffering.
And actually,
no stuff.
no, nothing. We're chilling, bro. Everything is cool. We're doing 4K content on the TVs. We watch Captain Marvel and Captain America and Captain Clappin'. We do the whole shebang, bro.
You got that HBO Max. You got AT&T TV. I mean, damn, man, you have everything over there.
Yeah, if you've got if the Death Star is strong, then you are cold chilling.
Oh man.
No.
Oh man.
DJ, kick the music.
Copyright reasons, dog. I can't do more.
Yeah, can't let it ride. Moose, thanks for coming on the show tonight, man. It was great.
Sneed, it was a pleasure. I apologize I wasn't here on Sunday. I'm telling you, that podcast, multiple analysts need to be aware that the SMT, the nation, is predicting way better than they are. Jesus. I
feel like they're disconnected, man. Like they're connected to the investors, but they're not connected to the intricate elements of like wireless telecom moves.
Right.
So we kind of like we play the moves, we see what this carrier does, what does this mean? Mm-hmm. They're kind of just playing the stock prices,
That's right. And that's no.
It's not predictive. It's more responsive, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, would love to have an opportunity to speak to one of those analysts.
I don't think they would make it. All they'd keep talking about is what are the dividends.
We need to have a crash course on owners economics, bro, because that's what Verizon and AT&T are doing.
Right.
Fiber needs to be built out. It can't just be always leased. That's why I remember we had that conversation a while back.
I think you can lease, but it just means it's going to bite into your profitability. You just have to. I think you just have to be. You have to be understanding of that, right? You're never going to be the most optimized for profits. So your margins will never be that of the owner.
It's way better because over the course of the life of that fiber, which could be indefinite, right? Until the next technology, right?
Right.
You'll be able to scale it up, 10 gig backhaul today, tomorrow, 25,
Sure.
So, but anyways, Sneed, thank you once again. We definitely got to do this again. more updates every week. Man, it's a very spicy Q2, bro. It's a very spicy Q2.
Big shout out to everybody who offered a super chat donation. You guys are the best. Thank you for supporting. Big shout out to Ron. He offered, I think it was a PayPal or some form of super chat earlier in the week. So thank you, Ron, and thanks for the support. Big shout out to the Patreon crew. So hashtag SMT Patreon. Carlos, appreciate the promotional work and getting those, discounts out to the Patreon crew and the viewers here. And hashtag Mod Squad for all my moderators. Hashtag 2Live Crew for those watching at the time of this airing. And then hashtag Replay Crew for those watching this on DVR. Hashtag Ravioli Gang if you're watching this while eating dinner or snacking. And that's it. That's it.
And have a great weekend.
Y'all take it easy. We out this piece.